Hello, crypto people. Joey here from the Chart Guys. I've been trading full time for 7 years, learning at the Chart Guys for 6 of them, joined as a member in 2018, and now I'm here to talk about some crypto. So, as we were talking about a week ago, won't be surprising when weekly consolidation comes. Weekly consolidation has come, and we know we're looking for a weekly higher low. We've got tons of room for it to form from where we are currently. We could pull back 40% and still form a weekly higher low. And now the big question is, how do we know if the weekly higher low is shaping up? What are we looking at? And how do we know if weekly consolidation is healthy? So to start with the second question there, as long as bulls hold weekly 12 EMA, weekly consolidation is healthy. It's quite straightforward. That's been our guide for quite some time now, and that will remain. So the question is, if you don't get to your zone of interest, which is the weekly 12 EMA, where you can have increased odds of getting a trade off the ground, how do we know if it's going to form earlier, like perhaps from right here? That's when we zoom in and look for clues. So typically we're using the daily time frame in conjunction with the weekly, but right now there's a lot more clarity on the 12-hour, so I'm going to wait for the 12-hour to resolve itself some more, and then we'll move back to the daily. Ultimately on the daily, bulls are going to need to regain a daily uptrend. So that would look like, bounce up, a pull back, and then higher highs. Higher low, higher high. So that's what we're looking at on the daily, but when we go to the 12-hour, you'll see why I'm focused there. We have, get rid of that line. We have a lot of clarity here. We've got an inverse head and shoulders. You got your left shoulder, your head, and a potential right shoulder here. And bulls want to confirm this 12-hour inverse head and shoulders to see continuation of the daily bounce that's technically underway. You just have to break the high of the previous candle to get the daily bounce underway. We've broken it by less than $100, or no, $140. So we've broken it marginally, but if we're going to see follow through, bulls want to see this 12-hour inverse head and shoulders confirm. So we're coming down to a pretty key location here at the moment right now. We've got this balance area. If folks are in the Chart Guys, they know Lamont is gangbusters with this stuff, but balance area from back here that has been quite reactive on the way up. That's where our low came from, the POC. That's where that previous bounce came from, the value area high. And we're coming back into it right now in 15-minute oversold conditions. So bulls want to show up sooner than later and hold 64.8K to keep odds favorable to confirm the uptrend after this inverse head and shoulders, or within this inverse head and shoulders. And the reason, another reason aside from structurally why bulls want to hold this value area high, is just our pure retracement rules. We pull our fib from the low to the high of that move, and if you retrace beyond the 0.5, the 50% move of the push up, then that decreases the odds that you can go to higher highs there. You'd have to see increasing bull volume most likely to do something like that. Bulls are much more in favor if they can hold that 50% retrace and then get that move up. So pretty critical location here at the moment. And if we confirm this 12-hour inverse head and shoulders, that will greatly increase the odds that a quick weekly higher low is shaping on up. So the other element to this is we've got to be watching our volume, because this was a bit of an inverse head and shoulders as well. Let's look at it on the 4-hour, left shoulder, head, and right shoulder, but we didn't form the higher low and go to higher highs there. And what's the one thing that we need if we're going to see the less likely scenario play out? Increasing bear volume. Look at the discrepancy between bear volume and bull volume here. Bears were clearly in favor, and that shifted on this move up yesterday. So we'll see how long that can stick around. If we see increasing bear volume on this pullback, then that's when we need to say, okay, everybody, be cautious here, or be careful here, because let's see how far we've pulled back on the weekly. And I'm actually going to pull up something from the Chart Guys right now, just so everybody can see. I went back through and looked at, let me just search for it. I think I used a weird word like bout. Let's see here. Yes, I did. So I went back through and looked at every bout of weekly consolidation that we've seen on Bitcoin coming off of all-time highs, starting at November 2010. and average overall pullback 39%. But what I care about most is the average of the last cycle, which is 25%. And you can see each cycle, the average pullback has gotten less and less. So, I mean, we're in the wheelhouse for it. If we look at our pullbacks from the last cycle, we had 31, 26, 18, 27, 13, and 38. So we're in it, but definitely on the lighter side of it, given that the average is 25.71. So what did I say that we've got here? 17% at this point. So, I mean, bulls would love for it. We had an 18%er last time, and we had a 13%er last time. So it's definitely not out of the question that bulls could come up from here. But we need to be aware that, you know, it's obviously possible to go lower. It's always possible to go lower. If we're going to go lower from here, bears are likely going to need to bring the volume after the size of this bounce that we had yesterday. So let's zoom in and see what we need to see for a 12-hour higher low to really start shaping up. Ultimately, it's going to be bulls regaining an hourly uptrend. So right now we're coming down to 15-minute oversold conditions. We go to the 15-minute oversold conditions. Bulls going to need to break this 15-minute stair step, regain a 15-minute uptrend, get an hourly bounce underway, regain an hourly uptrend, and then we'll say, all right, our 12-hour higher low is shaping on up. If we continue down, 15-minute lower highs and lower lows, hourly lower highs and lower lows, then, you know, we got to watch volume. If it's on lower volume, then, and we're above the 50% retrace, there's not too much need to fret. If it's on increasing volume, then we need to say, okay, our bear's going to try to do what they did back here, increasing volume to lower lows, or here, increasing volume to lower lows. Time will tell. We got 5 hours left on this 12-hour candle, and we're almost to the volume of the last one. So there is some increasing volume at this point. We'll have to see, but going to be all about the 0.5 retrace. And that's the main shtick here with Bitcoin. Before we move on to just kind of talk broader market stuff, the S&P 500, NASDAQ hit fresh all-time highs yesterday. Bulls are in absolute full control of the broad market, but things are getting to historical extremes there. On SPX right now, we've got an 11-week weekly stair step. We'll go to SPX and look at this. 11 weeks in a row with a higher low every candle. And if you go back in time, you are hard pressed to find many instances of something similar. We had a 10er in 2016 and 2010. We had an 11 in 2010. We had a 12 in 98, a 12 in 87, and then a 14 in 62 into 63. So like going all the way back there, like these are the only comparable weekly stair steps. So if we see this break, you know, it's not going to be good for Bitcoin. I don't anticipate that money's going to rotate from the broad market into Bitcoin. Obviously, anything can happen. But Bitcoin bulls love a healthy, euphoric broad market. But we know how euphoria ends. The S&P 500 can go on for a very long time. I'm not by any means calling a top. I'm not doing any of that because, you know, here we had a weekly stair step. It was healthy weekly consolidation. We continued on. And, you know, that's the name of the game with the SPX. But knowing that Bitcoin's already consolidating on the weekly and the broad market is up at the highs, it's just something to keep in the back of our minds and continue evaluating. So let's see here. Let's get back to Bitcoin, see if bulls are trying to get this bounce underway. Nope, not yet. I'm going to set an alert down this value area high. If we get a decent setup, I'll probably try to buy a dip. Probably try and buy a dip. Let's look at the 5-minute. Yeah, so just a little 5-minute downtrend here in the short term. I'll go ahead and set another alert for this resistance. Get my line color proper. Yeah, so we'll keep eyes on that out of the corner of my eye. Let's see, I'm actually going to minimize the YouTube so I can keep an eye on my broker. So that's what we're looking at. Bitcoin, hunting the 12-hour higher low. Is 15-minute oversold going to yield a bounce that leads to a temporary bottom? And to take note of that, let's go back and look at this. Actually, this is Head and Shoulders inception. It ended up playing out really quickly on the 4-hour, but we had a Head and Shoulders on the 4-hour that ultimately ended up getting that 12-hour bounce underway. And this low was 5-minute oversold. So not by any means a back burner, but these are the types of times where we can glean information from how are we responding to oversold conditions. It doesn't have to be a back burner for us to bounce from 5-minute oversold, but if we bounce from 5-minute oversold to higher highs, that tells us that bulls are eager to buy the dip. And if we look at the 5-minute on that pullback, you hit 5-minute oversold, get your 5-minute uptrend, just went right to higher highs. So can we get a repeat of that on the 15-minute with the 12-hour? Time will tell. Time will tell. So let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. So similarly, liking the 12-hour time frame here, and I'm liking the 12-hour as opposed to the daily on many names at this point. So 12-hour on Ethereum, same inverse head and shoulders. Bulls just now giving up and getting into 12-hour consolidation. It was holding on a bit better than Bitcoin there. And ultimately, anything over 3,057 going to be a 12-hour high or low, and bulls got to get back through 35.86 to see some daily bounce continuation. And we'll look to see, can bulls regain a daily uptrend and get a weekly higher low set? We know it got smoked on the pullback harder than Bitcoin on the heels of ETH BTC getting that increasing bull volume we were talking about last stream that would be necessary to push us down through this support. And we ended up getting it, but now bulls are bouncing. So is this thing going to continue to stair step around and ultimately stay within this tightening range on ETH BTC, giving ETH relative strength, which in this context would be a stronger bounce than Bitcoin if we're talking about, daily bounces seeing continuation? Would Ethereum continue to see a stronger bounce than Bitcoin with ETH BTC going up, or are we just going to stay in this dinky downtrend? We're testing daily 12 EMA now and don't even have 4-hour consolidation underway here yet. So we'll watch the 4-hour uptrend as the guide on ETH BTC. So yeah, that's pretty much that. That is pretty much that on ETH. Let's get LTC, lots of inverse head and shoulders. So we'll go to the 12-hour here. You got a left shoulder, you got a head. We're trying to get 12-hour consolidation underway, but you can see it's holding on better than Bitcoin, still not getting that underway yet. And bull's going to have to confirm that to get daily bounce, or what are we going to call it? I guess that would be a 2-day bounce getting underway. It would be the first step of a weekly higher low, which we know is the most likely scenario. But I'm not going to get too tripped up on what are the implications of the 12-hour to the daily to the this and that. Just going to be focusing on the 12-hour for these names because it has clarity. And then when that resolves, we'll take a look back and see how things are shaking on out for our larger timeframes. We know that bulls will need daily uptrends if weekly higher lows are to shape up. So that is that. Let's see Bitcoin getting another leg lower. Let me check back in here. Got a nice 1-minute stair step coming into an area of interest. Decent volume. It'll probably be a solid 1-minute stair step to potentially take. I'm going to set up my broker here. I'd like to get down and actually tag it, but I don't know that I'm going to be a dick for a tick. All right, I'm going for it. We'll see. It's low risk. I'm in. Gonna stick my stop below the low. Prepared to take a couple shots at it if I've got to. Let's see. Yeah, not looking like what we're looking for. You hope on that high volume that once you get that you kind of get some spring back. So bulls are still fighting a bit. But yeah, we'll just kind of let that be. I'm going to set an alert like there maybe. Maybe we'll do 2-minute 12 EMA. Try to take half off. I think I need to get to like 37.16 on IBIT to get risk-free on it. I didn't get a great fill on the on the stair step. Typically I have a stop buy in, but I was thinking of front running it, but then I decided not to front run it and then ended up marketing in a little late. There's actually a little more downward pressure on IBIT. It's not quite moving up with Bitcoin here. I mean, it is, but you can definitely see the like individual elements of the ETF come into play at times. Yeah, didn't get filled there. Let's look at the 1 minute, see how that's looking. Yeah, it unfortunately just missed me on IBIT. I guess not just, a couple pennies. And get a little more follow through. That'll be risk-free and we can go on with our stuff. If not, we take this small stop out and keep on the hunt because we know we're in a zone of interest. Let's see, Dan's typing in this thread. I'm kind of feeling like he just bought some as well. Oh no, he's saying 15-minute stair step. Come on, bulls, aren't you eager to buy some Bitcoin? New innovative technology. It's going to change the world. All right, we're bumping up on my ask. Fill me. Oh, those jerks. The heck? All right, I'm moving down a penny. All right, I got filled. So now I am, that 37.16 was to be risk-free with a stop a few pennies below the low a day, but I guess I'll actually still do that. I'm not going to be too stingy with it. But yeah, we'll see if bulls can get any follow through. I'll set an alert for 5-minute 12 EMA. I would take some more off there if we get to it. And then a little more at 15-minute 12 EMA. And since this is an IBIT, I'll be closing out before 8 p.m. and probably close to 4 p.m. because I don't want to hang around and babysit it. But, you know, very similar to the folks that were on the last stream with this 4-hour lower high, this is the type of play where you can be using your full picture multiple time frame analysis and really drilling into these small time frames to get a trade off the ground where your larger time frame supports the potential that it could see more follow through. So if you took that 2-minute stair step from that stream, you know, it was pretty much at the top. And come on, it's pretty much at the top there. I guess we'll just do it from the top of the candle. And, you know, we end up getting almost 14% of follow through from that. And it's the larger timeframes that give us that context for the potential to try to hold on to something longer like that. So this is no different. You know, I'm not just popping off at some random 1-minute stair step. It's because we're coming into this value area high, zone of interest. We're 15-minute oversold. We're within a 12-hour inverse head and shoulders while we're looking for a weekly higher low. And that all comes into play when I'm zooming into the 1-minute time frame, deciding to take a 1-minute stair step on this. Do I have high confidence that this is the 12-hour higher low? No. How could you off of a 1-minute move? You know, I don't have high confidence at all, but I did have confidence that I would be able to get risk-free on this attempt due to the extension down on the 1-minute stair step, the increasing bear volume, and then all that other stuff of being in the zone of interest. And if you stop out, you lose nothing. So, and you try again. Like it's the trade-off, because you could just be scaling into this saying, all right, you know, 15-minute oversold, looking for a 12-hour higher low. I'll take some scales. When we get some bounce, I'll scale out a little bit. But the position size that you're able to put on when your stop is 0.23% away is so much larger than if you're just scaling into this. So the trade-off is you get more size off the ground, but what you give up for that is that it may take multiple attempts to get off the ground. It's more laborious. It requires more small time frame maneuvering and generally like a scalping skill set that is backed by the structure of larger context moves. So it's a trade-off. Sometimes I'll do the scale stuff across a range, but more often than not, like if I'm at the computer and I've been spending all these years building up this skill set, I'm going to lean into that skill set so that I can get a bigger position off the ground and hopefully have a bigger reward. Doesn't always work out, but that's trading for you. All right, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and look back at the YouTube chat, see if anybody's still here. Yeah, people are still here. Sweet. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right. Let's go through the list a little bit, and then we'll see what y'all are looking at. So Sol, bigger picture, daily 12 EMA support. Bulls are in full on control, and like many other names, liking the 12-hour here. Can bulls confirm a 12-hour uptrend to more confidently get a daily high or low set? Have us say that the show is on the road still? Or do bears confirm a 12-hour downtrend and start to shave up some weekly consolidation, have us looking back to weekly 12 EMA? So I don't know what this is. I think I have some ranges turned off. Oh yeah, that was that. We'll turn that line off as well. So yeah, that's what we're looking at on Sol. Still one of our lead bulls. 15-minute stair step down, kind of grinding 15-minute oversold conditions. We probably got 5-minute 12 EMA resistance here. Not quite, a little bit below it. A little bit below it. So bull's gonna have to get up and over that, regain a 5-minute uptrend, regain a 15-minute uptrend, hourly uptrend to begin to say that a 12-hour higher low is shaping up. And for this 12-hour consolidation, I'm liking the hourly downtrend. If bears see follow through, we would have hourly oversold coming into play. It'd be deep enough that we'd then look for like a 12-hour tightening range. High, low, lower high, higher low, and continue to tighten. If we're going to go right to 12-hour lower lows, bears have to bring the volume. Bears have to bring the volume. Sol BTC holding on better than Sol USD, which is what alt bulls or Sol bulls like to see. And what do we got here? What do we got here? I guess we can just keep it on the 12-hour. We'll keep the consistency with the 12-hour going with everybody else. Yeah, I suppose. In this context, though, because the daily 12 EMA is still a bit below, I wouldn't be too miffed if we like confirm a 12-hour downtrend as long as it doesn't see follow through and the daily 12 EMA acts as support. So like typically, if you're going to see a break without follow through, there's often two elements at play. You'll have extended RSI conditions on the break, and you'll often have a larger time frame reference point that is in play there, which in this case would be the daily 12 EMA. So if we're to like waterfall down, say we don't get any notable bounce and the 15-minute RSI ends up being like in the teens and we break support, that's a recipe for a lack of follow through. We'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that. Let's check back in on that Bitcoin. Bulls are trying. Bulls are trying. Little 2-minute uptrend confirmed, but we just got one of those and it didn't mean much. It's very weak bounce at this point still. Very weak bounce at this point, so not holding my breath. Not holding my breath. Let's see, AVAX was a nice bull the other day. I don't know, kind of looks like some weekly consolidation might be shaping up. This isn't like a textbook head and shoulders by any means. You got a few shoulders over here, but we can forget that extra shoulder. Look at it. Right shoulder, head, potential, or left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So if that were to confirm, then that would be some weekly consolidation looking to shape up here. We got weekly 12 EMA, bigger picture guide. But any alt that isn't consolidating on the weekly right now is definitely stronger than Bitcoin. But the question is, do we see rotation from these alts that were stronger than Bitcoin on the pullback back from those alts into Bitcoin? So as far as dominance, we're not doing a lot. We're just sideways here. So I think we need to get a break out of this sideways range to really say there's anything massively changing in terms of Bitcoin dominance. Right now we have the pullback, which is what it's what alt bulls want to see when they look at Bitcoin dominance. But then when you look at the charts, you don't want it to be because Bitcoin's leading the way down and dropping harder than alts. You want it to be because alts are going up more than Bitcoin. So that's not what we have right now. But I don't know. I'm not putting too much weight into it while we're just kind of seeing little moves. Like, it lets you know what's the tide of the day for sure. But in terms of our big question of, is Bitcoin going to consolidate? And then we see like an alt season and see serious rotation into alts like we have previous cycles. It's a crazy move off the low for Bitcoin. Everybody's looking for rotation into the alts eventually. Bitcoin can go as high as it wants. But eventually we want to see that money rotate into the alts. We don't want to see like, a blow off top in the broad market that just spooks everybody in a widespread capital exodus from everything. That's what we don't want to see. We want to see, maybe monthly consolidation on Bitcoin, keep it ginger, hold the 382, hold your 12 EMA, and then let these alts just go mayhem. So what else we got? INJ, it's not doing what it needs to do. So we know bigger picture, it's still fine. You're holding the weekly 12 EMA, but you don't like to break out of this range. We had one breakout, no follow through, right back to support. Another breakout, no follow through, right back to support. And bulls are trying to defend the lows. So if you're an aggressive INJ bull, now it's definitely a better risk to reward time to be looking long than it was last week. But as I've been saying, we need INJ BTC to do something. It tried, but we rejected from resistance and bears took it right back down. So we're back to square one, looking to see, can INJ BTC join the show? We know to be looking for it. It's looking for a monthly high or low, but the burden of proof is on bulls. And again, this is just what we saw on Sol and why we were looking for rotation into Sol. The monthly ratio chart was looking for consolidation, or it was consolidating, looking for the high or low. And then when we broke the daily equilibrium to the upside, that's when we said, okay, the show's on for that. So looking for the same thing on INJ, but it's not giving us the go signal. We got the go signal on Sol, and then it followed through beautifully. But we haven't gotten the go signal on INJ BTC. We got the first little glimpse of it, getting over 2-day 12 EMA, but didn't get follow through. Didn't get follow through, rejected right from resistance, and we're right back down to the lows. So if INJ BTC can defend these lows, which we have a slight bear break without follow through. Let's get another line on this sucker. Slight bear break without follow through. That's what bulls like to see, as opposed to just water falling down on a bear break. But the burden of proof is on bulls to get some follow through. Little dinky daily bounce at this point. I like the 2-day still. So 2-day inside bars. If this breaks bull, then we can anticipate that's INJ USD bulls defending weekly 12 EMA and seeing a little bit of relative strength after the support hold. But burden of proof on bulls still for INJ. Let's look at a strong name. Sui is standing out here today. We had a 4-hour megaphone that we were, is that what I'm thinking of? Sui with the 4-hour megaphone? I guess not. Or no, this was it? I might be thinking of something else. I thought it was a little bit clearer. But maybe it was Sui. Doesn't matter. I mean, I guess this is it. Higher high, no follow through. Lower low, no follow through. But I thought we had one more up there. Doesn't matter. Let's zoom out. So bulls are trying for a weekly cup and handle. We're right up on resistance. So we've got 197.4 and then 2 psychological. So it's pretty much straight out of a textbook. Bulls are doing their job. This was it. I don't know why it's looking so different on the 4-hour than it was earlier, but we are just daily stair stepping up to this resistance here. Let's look if we have a 4-hour uptrend guide. We do, and we're just now consolidating on the 4-hour. And look how strong this is holding on compared to, we can look at Sol, it's very solid pullback there. We can be looking at INJ, quite the pullback, SEI, quite the pullback. So Sui is definitely the flavor of the day today. And bulls looking for a higher low, looking for 15-minute oversold to market if we get down there. Looking for 4-hour 12 EMA to act as support to keep the daily move strong. If we lose 4-hour 12 EMA, that'll be some daily consolidation. And it is worth noting that we're not in a daily uptrend. So if bulls want to be fully confident, they're going to need Whoa. Whenever I go off the screen with that drawing tool, it whacks out. Bull's going to need the daily uptrend eventually here, but remaining nice and strong. Lead bull here today. Who else we got? Pendle. So Pendle, that is 2-day EQ we're looking at. 3-day EQ. Yeah, we'll look at it on the 2-day. So low, high, we'll just call it a lower low, but still in a balancing range. So, not technically an EQ, but very clearly a balancing range here. So relative strength for bulls now, but is that going to turn to relative weakness with a rejection from 367? I'd say it's the most likely scenario. So just as back here, we were looking at it short for this 4-hour lower high because it was relatively weak on the bounce, and it ended up doing well. But the whole thing with that I was talking about was we're going to have to watch out because a 2-day higher low is the most likely scenario. We ended up getting that, and now a 2-day lower high, 3-day lower high. I'm looking at these resistance levels, but in terms of our structure, I'm more so focused on the spirit of it, which I don't even know how I would draw this. It's so whippy, something like that. Not getting nitpicky with levels in a sideways range, but clearly bull here today, 4-hour uptrend. We probably got hourly 12 EMA support, and that's that. If we lose hourly 12 EMA, we'll have some 4-hour consolidation, and anything over 269 going to be a 4-hour higher low. Let's check back in on that Bitcoin. Can't be doing well. Our 5-minute 12 EMA alert hasn't gone off. Yeah, still weak. Still weak. So we'll set another alert there. And look to see what we can get. What else we got on the list? I've been keeping eyes on AIOZ. I'm not trading it or anything, but nice clarity. It's a blue sky bull. It's super volatile and just daily 12 EMA rider. All these moves, off of our little daily EQ, move up 52%. Off a daily 12 EMA, 34%. So big time volatility, and it's just another one of our EMA riders. So I love the EMA riders because it keeps things clear. It makes trading simple. We don't have to get all complicated with it. Like trading can get complicated. I'll pull out my old gold chart that I used to run with. Like you can get crazy with this stuff, and I enjoyed doing that, and I learned a lot from doing that. But now, my style is a lot more simple because it's, as you can imagine, makes the game a little more simple to play. Let's look at FET. FET's another one. Looking for a weekly higher low, potential weekly bull flag, and it's got the hallmarks of a weekly bull flag where we confirmed our downtrend without follow through, and another 12-hour inverse head and shoulders on watch here. So as we're talking about all the time, the chart guys, keep your eyes on your blue sky bulls. FET's one of them. It's got the AI narrative, all that jazz. So anything over 215.5 going to be a 12-hour higher low. Bull's got to confirm the 12-hour inverse head and shoulders to try to get the weekly higher low set and be a weekly bull flag into all-time highs. What else we got on the list? Maybe that's all I'm all I'm looking at. We'll see what y'all are looking at, because I can't stream too much longer here. We got a chart guys stream coming up. I don't want to conflict with it too much. One check back in on old Bitsy. All right, so Bull's trying. Bull's trying at this point. So this is another kind of more nuanced bit of trade management. So on this initial bounce up, if we got to the 5-minute 12 EMA, I was going to take some off. But now that we missed 5-minute 12 EMA and consolidated here, if we come back to the 5-minute 12 EMA with a 5-minute uptrend, I will no longer be taking partial profits there, because at that point, your expectancy on the trade has increased pretty significantly. Because here, if I'm looking at 5-minute 12 EMA off of this low, I don't know if it's going to be a strong bounce. I don't know if we're going to be able to confirm a 5-minute uptrend from there, any of that. So that's why I'm being protective and taking off partial profit. But it will be a different story this time, because bulls are proving something. They have a 5-minute uptrend confirmed. The 15-minute bounce is underway. So that would have me, likely look out to maybe the 10 or 15-minute 12 EMA for some profits. on that. So that's where my mind's at with it. I won't be taking partials if we get that. Won't be taking partials if we get that. All right, let's get into chat. Jahanzib, hello, sir. Doing all right. I hope you're well. Revy, what up, brother? Duke, cheers. Let's see. Revy says it's just GBTC dumping on the Bitcoin side. I don't know what that means, sir. I mean, it looks pretty similar to me. Are you saying GBTC is dumping coins? I mean, we don't know that in the moment, right? I don't think so. All right, let's look at OP for improvement banana. Almost banana, but not quite banana. So OP, not looking great. Weekly 12 EMA has been our guide. We've now lost weekly 12 EMA. I mean, we still got 3 days left. If we bounce from here, we could technically hold it, but it definitely has felt some pressure. And even if you get the close above, we have a potential weekly head and shoulders shaping up. So OP is a blue sky bull. There's reason to be interested in it. But, I mean, if we look at OP BTC, that might tell us the story of what's going on. And there it is. So it's similar to INJ. It's similar to Sol. There's actually a decent number of these alts that alt BTC pairings that are consolidating on the monthly. And if they can get the monthly higher low to shape up, then that's when the USD pairing comes back into play and ends up being, you know, like a leveraged BTC. But as long as that's consolidating, then OP is still going to be weak at a weekly stair step. Got daily 12 EMA resistance, daily downtrend. So daily uptrend confirming on OP BTC would be the first step. The OP USD is going to come back into the spotlight for the time being. We just have a daily bounce underway on OP USD. Anything below this, what is that, 468 would be a lower high. Bull's going to have to regain a daily uptrend here to try to get a weekly bounce underway, but then we have to look out for a weekly lower high compared to 486.5. So if OP BTC does not come back to life, then a weekly head and shoulders on OP USD will be the most likely scenario in my eyes here. All right. Let's see. Mr. Step 2's in chat. It says basically previous 2021 all-time high at 69K is the line in the sand to cross for the bulls to confirm the 12-hour inverse head and shoulders. It's a good point, my friend. I wasn't looking at that. Yeah. Bears defending previous all-time high after getting us back down below it. So that's what bears want to see. That's not what bulls want to see. Bulls, though, if they confirm the 12-hour inverse head and shoulders, they'll be getting the job done. Again, though, still weak. Still weak here. We'll give them some time, though. Take your time, Bitcoin. Take your time, and if you don't want to do it, that's okay. That's why we get risk-free in trades. Let's see. Polar Bear Man is looking for 64.7. Lots of heat map action there. That's really not far off of this value area high that I'm looking for. That's technically, as we can see exactly how I've got it drawn here, 64.763. You know, pretty much same thing. But one thing that it can be very difficult to balance as we're trading. We want to let trades come to us. We want to look for our ideal situations, but we also don't want to be too finicky. You know, I'm looking for a play off this value area high, and would have loved if this 1 minute stair step just came down right into it. But then, you know, I have to ask myself, do I want to not try this trade because we're $100 over the zone of interest that I had? You know, many times that'll happen and I'll miss something trying to, you know, let the trade come to me and all of that jazz. But, you know, it's a fine balance. Sometimes I do better with it. Sometimes I do worse with it. And, you know, we just got to try to get better each day. So could we come down to 64.7? Absolutely. But did we get pretty close? Yeah, you know, 0.25% away. But I don't know if the, you know, from the heat map perspective, if that kind of changes, if it's more of a binary evaluation with that, like you need to you're looking to see orders get knocked out or picked up at 64.7. So maybe my take on that is not as applicable to your form of analysis. All right, let's look at Matic. So Matic, what are we going to say here? Technically lost the weekly uptrend, but a lot of times I'm not designating pivots on outside bars. We have a better time frame. Yeah, I'm not going to, I'll still say we're looking for a weekly higher low, and bulls got to show up here soon if they're going to hold the 12 EMA. Bigger picture, I'm still cautious on Matic up here just because of this quarterly equilibrium. It wouldn't be shocking to continue to tighten, and it will probably be, what the rest of the space does that determines it. If we go into alt season and everybody's popping, then Matic's probably breaking this bull. But, if SPX at historical stair-step levels ends up seeing a sharp, fast pullback and, Bitcoin monthly consolidation gets underway, then, Matic is probably staying within this quarterly range. So just a daily stair step at this point. It's one of our weaker names here still. Let's look at the 4-hour. So 4-hour 12 EMA resistance all the way down. Bulls have gotten up and over with a 4-hour trend change, but tried to see another round of higher highs and rejecting right from resistance at 101.77. This high here was 101.34. So that's the level that bulls got to get up and over to try to get a daily bounce. Then you got to get a daily bounce big enough to try to regain a daily uptrend to get a weekly higher low set. But definitely one of our weaker names at the moment, and not the ideal reaction that bulls would want to see after getting over a clear EMA resistance. You want to get over it with some oomph, like Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I guess, it wasn't the clearest 4-hour 12 EMA resistance because we had all that there, but rejecting, kind of get over, not really follow through, rejecting, and then you get over and you get some pop. So Matic is quite far from that at this point, just kind of dilly-dallying around. Let's see if our 12-hour has the clarity that others have. It does. You can see the relative weakness here, though. ETH, we're looking for a 12-hour inverse head and shoulders. LTC, we're looking for a 12-hour inverse head and shoulders. Bitcoin, we're looking for a 12-hour inverse head and shoulders, obviously. But Matic, our right neckline is so far from the left neckline. That's not an inverse head and shoulders. That's just a downtrend. So typically when you got something like this, your ratio tells the story. Matic, BTC. Tell us what's going on, friend. So Matic, BTC, seeing follow through. We had a tightening range on the quarterly here. High, low, lower high. Bulls tried to form the higher low, and we've broken it, and we're seeing follow through. So this is yearly consolidation on Matic BTC. So it's going to remain in the doghouse until bulls can get over weekly 12 EMA, or that's the monthly. Let's go one by one. I mean, weekly 12 EMA is still there, and probably daily, not even daily. I guess that's just 4-hour. No. What are we going to use as our guide here? I guess 6-hour is fine enough. We're bumping on it. Bulls got to get that uptrend. Got to get through 1552 on the ratio chart to say, okay, Matic is seeing something. That's just a daily bounce, seeing some follow through. Be looking for a daily lower high and got to try to regain a daily uptrend. So I don't know. Matic is in the doghouse. This is what LTC BTC is trying to fend off. And if we zoom out here, I'll just go ahead and mark up the line. That's our support there, ish. Bulls were trying to defend it, and now they're kind of giving up the bag. And if we look at ETH BTC, it's not wildly different. Let me get rid of this. This is our key macro support. We'll go to the quarterly so you can see the similarities. Quarterly tightening range, high, low, lower high, broke to lower lows, not seeing follow through. Bulls trying aggressively to defend it. Are they going to suffer the same fate as Matic BTC? Or are they going to be able to be better than Matic BTC and get back through these highs and send us into an alt season? Because this is also on ETH BTC. That's yearly consolidation. It's definitely light. Bulls hoping it's a yearly bull flag, but yeah, Matic BTC, Matic USD in the doghouse. I can't believe neither of these alerts have gone off on Bitcoin. Do something. Do something. I only got till 4 p.m., dudes. All right. Dan wants to look at Fetch. I think that's FET, right? Yeah, we looked at Fetch, so hopefully you're satiated. All right. Dez knows what's up. Hit that like button. Thank you all for that. Improvement, banana. My pleasure, dude. Glad you're learning something. Glad you are learning something. Ryan V knows what's up as well. Just how, whether it's your Apple Vision or your Neuralink chip, activate that like button. Let's see. ETH is cooked and will be deemed as a security, says Meppardus. Yeah, maybe. Predictions like that are tough to be accurate on. The whole thing why I don't do stuff like that, like it's fun. It's entertaining to, throw your hat in the ring and see if your prediction can be right. But if you're trying to make money doing this, you either need to be putting in insane amounts of time into fundamental analysis to find an edge with something like that, or you need to really lean on technicals, which, you need to put an insane amount of time into technicals as well to do that. But the problem is that a lot of people, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but just see it all the time, where people read a few articles on Reddit, put in a good old 35 minutes of research and then get this fundamental bias and then stick to it just because of some convincing tweet that someone made. And then all of your actions are operating within that fundamental bias, which, Dan's always saying, trade like a robot. You can't trade like a robot if you've got these a ton of biases. So that's kind of why Dan and I just don't really do all that jazz. But of course, if you're putting in the fundamental, the time, the thousands of hours into the fundamental stuff, and you're got connections in the space and know the scoop and this and that, then more power to you. But if you're trying to make money playing the game, I know a handful of people who do well with technical analysis. Obviously, there's a million ways to make money in this game, but I just haven't seen many people that, get their fundamental bias and that takes them to the motherland. I don't know. To each their own. To each their own. All right. AV says AVAX has a 2.19% token unlock today. Yeah, those are usually priced in. Those usually get priced in ahead of time. A good recent example is ARM. Because basically, if the market knows that an unlock is coming, then it is smart and prices it in, meaning that people make their financial movements based on this info that everybody has. And then when that info comes out, there's not really anybody to be making moves based off of it. So this ARM one, the unlock was here. It's 90% of the float. One entity owns it, supposed to be doomsday, right? It marked the low. It marked the low, as it often does. So, and if we look at ARM NVDA, we can see, it was pricing that in. This was the ARM earnings, and then it was relatively weak for quite some time. So while ARM wasn't going down pricing it in, it wasn't going up as much as its sector peers. Let's get ARM SMH. I think it's the same story. It was drifting down. That's it, getting priced in. So as far as AVAX, 2.1% unlock, probably priced in. Let's see. Greg says, since when has rotation into alts happened before BTC having event? I do not know, my friend. Asking the wrong dude for that. Just looking for it eventually. Fortune says it never has, nor have we broken all-time high before happening. But we did. Yeah, who knows? And this is kind of another thing. We've had like consistent stuff go on with the relationship to halvening and the cycles and this and that, but you better bet your bottom dollar at some point that's going to change, just because there's too much opportunity for money to be made with the like shift up from big money to not do it eventually. So, you know, these structures are good to have in our minds just to kind of like know where we're at. But, and this is another point towards TA, like if we top out before the halvening or whatever, or we get alt rotation before the halvening, whatever is like not supposed to happen compared to, you know, what has happened previously. If that's going to happen, TA will tell us as it's happening, and it will give the clues as it sets up. So that's the beauty of it. All right. Greg Ferguson actually bringing up a good one that I haven't heard in a while, I guess since we're a little bit away, but the whole saying is sell in May and walk away. You know, many times we'll see that, but does it mean anything to me being an election year? Just in general, being completely honest, all that stuff is not my jam. I know that they generally like to keep the markets propped up into an election year, but similar to my comment about the BTC halvening, like, would I be shocked to see a dump in an election year? No, nothing will shock me. Nothing will shock me. So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what we get. I care more about when the Fed starts cutting interest rates, just because, and also the same thing applies to what we've been talking to. We know that historically for the last, you know, handful of decades, when the Fed starts cutting interest rates, it leads to a bear market. Do I think that has potential of happening? Yes, I do. Am I going to push my full stack in short as soon as the Fed cuts rates? No, I'm going to play the trends. I'm going to play the trends. All right. Yeah, I already looked at Matic. I'll look at Link for you. I don't even know how to say your name. Ishitak? I'm sure I botched that. We'll go with Quasi, your middle name there. I'll look at Link, but please do not spam the chat. Nightbot is ruthless, and he will put you in timeout. So Link USD. We know we got our monthly uptrend, and we know we got a weekly. What do we have on the weekly here? We've lost our uptrend, but this is likely a megaphone on the daily. This is likely a megaphone on the daily. Do the old manual lines. I'm trying to get better at drawing manual lines. I don't know why. I think I'm getting bored. It's bigger picture. So I'm putting my time into trivial stuff within. So Link, as far as our larger time frame structure, we don't have a lot of it right now. So we'll just focus on the daily, where we have a daily downtrend and another 12-hour inverse head and shoulders shaping up. Left shoulder, head. We have relative strength here. No 12-hour consolidation underway yet. And bulls are going to be looking to hold 1624 and go back up and break wherever this bounce tops at. Sure, it looks like it's topping here, but again, relative strength. Relative strength. And if bulls can do that, that would be like a 2-day bounce, seeing follow through. Then we'd be looking for a 2-day lower high compared to 2286. And just in general, when I don't have a lot of clarity on something, I don't really like to trade it, just because clarity is so important in terms of you know, getting our probabilities right to be able to get a trade going. So monthly, maybe our 2-week has clarity. Yeah, actually it does. It's a good example of hopping around to a time frame with clarity. So we've got a nice 2-week uptrend, and we're looking for a 2-week higher low compared to 1220. If bulls hold to 12 EMA, it's healthy. So, you know, there's reason to be interested. Let's look at what our ratio chart's doing. Is this a monthly bounce candidate? I mean, it is, but I don't like this nearly as much as Sol BTC, INJ BTC, because this we already went through the whole let's look for link rotation grind a few months ago, and we got it, and we broke the first resistance, rejected from the second, and then came back down. So the context on this is not as nice as those other ones that were just coming off of the highs. So we'll need link BTC to come around for the show to go on, or to get going. Got daily 12 EMA resistance. And if Link BTC bulls can get through 28.59, that'll be the first sign that Link USD is getting some relative strength. We've been relatively weak since February, the second week of February. So got to get a daily uptrend. When's the last daily uptrend we had? I guess we had a dinker right here. Let's look at the 2-day. It's been a while since we've had a sustained momentum shift. I guess we can look at the 2-day downtrend. When's the last 2-day uptrend we had? Not since that move to the highs. So if Link USD wants to come to life, we need Link BTC to get a 2-day uptrend. You know, most of the alt ratios are not doing well because it's been the Bitcoin show. If we're going to get that rotation, then these alt ratios will come to life. All right, ARKM BTC weekly cup and handle question mark. Let's take a look. Yeah. Yep, this is very similar to SUI USD. You got your all-time high at 16.9. That's not right, is it? No, 5,800. We got a high here at 58.45. So bulls don't love that they broke resistance without follow through, but I mean, it's pretty close. We can still kind of treat it as a cup and handle. If bulls hold weekly 12 EMA, then they're healthy and doing that, and they want to do what SUI is doing. Very similar. Hold that 12 EMA and then go back up to the highs. All right, y'all. I'm gonna wrap things up. Let me see if there's any juicy questions in here. So Tomato says, hi Joey, Dan recommends not using the back burner after it gets used up on that time frame, example 5-minute time frame. So when do you recommend to use it again? You use it again after you get the next solid leg up. So if 5-minute back burner hits and marks an hourly high or low, and we confirm an hourly bull flag with nice follow through, you can continue to use that. But then as soon as you fail it, then that's when you're zooming out to the 15-minute. And then you do the same thing with the 15-minute. When that fails, you zoom out to the hourly and do all that jazz. So the big thing is you want to get your leg up. You want to get your leg up to know it's going. Let's see, ZRX. I do want to talk about that. I saw out of the corner of my eye it was getting smoked. Not ZRK, ZRX. So we know it had crazy rotation for a while. And yeah, it's looking like healthy consolidation, holding 12 EMA, but now we're getting smoked on volume. Getting smoked on volume, probably 4-hour back burner coming into play. It's actually hitting right now. 4-hour back burner is hitting right now. So if you want to be an aggressive bull, you can certainly be going for something like that. Let's see, we got an alert. Is that old Bitcoin doing something? That's the 5-minute 12 EMA test, but still no real bounce, huh? I'm trying. Come on, Bitcoin, do something. All right, ZRX. So yeah, I don't know. This actually reminds me of the FTT moves back in the day when Sam would be moving around capital or doing whatever, and you just see these insane stair steps. So bit of a red flag with the volume. That would raise some caution, but doesn't mean you can't be going for it. So if I'm going for something like this, I'm using stair steps. I don't know that there's really a good one right now. You could try the 15-minute stair step here. It's not ideal. If this candle was a little bit smaller, it would be decent, but we know we're hitting 4-hour oversold. Let's look at our ratio before we plan this out anymore. See if we got any more information from here. The heck? Why is this like this? I don't know why that's like that. I don't know what was up and why it wouldn't fix. Yeah, I don't know. This ratio is a bit of a red flag to me. That big old move up and huge pullback, bit of a red flag, especially on a name with like a history of doing stuff like this. I mean, I'm into bounces though. I don't know if I'd be interested, my friend, but if you are interested, which there is reason to be interested, being a 4-hour oversold back burner, Let's check if the official indicator is calling it. It's saying it's not a back burner. I mean, I don't know. I'd call it a back burner. I think that's plenty of a move since our last one. Maybe it's the volume is calling it off. You know, Toby's a gangster how he's coded this. There's lots of little nuanced metrics in there that lets us know what's up. But yeah, I'd be doing a stair step so that you're not just scaling into something that dies. So what that would look like, say you're doing a 15-minute stair step, you do something like that, you enter on the break, you sell half at your 1-to-1, which is at the 12 EMA, and then if it ends up being a 4-hour bounce, you got a great position. If it's not, you lose very little in the scheme of things, 1.17%. If you put half your account into it, which is like a pretty aggressive position size, you know, you're losing well less than 1% if you stop out. So yeah, I don't know what's up with ZRX. Definitely a lot of volume. Is this a fresh alert? Hey, Bitcoin's bouncing. So what's up? So let's see, where would I be taking partials? More partials I will take at 15-minute 12 EMA if we get there. It's 3:33. So I don't have a ton of time left. Let me go over to my broker real quick. I'll just leave it be. I'll just leave it be. I will put an alert on the EMA. And that's that. All right. Let's see, Rodrigo, besides 5-minute back burner, where'd that comment go? I read the first half. Sometimes YouTube janks around the chat. I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. Besides 5-minute back burner, what other strat do you have? If you go to our website, or not our website, our YouTube channel, there is a playlist called Joey Webinars. And that's pretty much my strategies are like in those 4 webinars. It's lined up in proper order so that the second one builds off the first one, the third one builds off the first 2, the final one is like, you know, the icing on the cake. But you can't really answer that question simply. If you're looking for just execution techniques, that's the 3rd webinar, but they're useless without the knowledge from the first 2. So just like this 1-minute stair step that's working right now on Bitcoin to lead to a 15-minute bounce, you know, there was a bunch of stuff that came into play to have me say like, all right, this is the 1-minute stair step that I'm interested in, which is the same as that 4-hour lower high from the last stream on Friday. You know, there's all of this stuff is contextual, and context is more important than patterns. People, when they learn to trade, they think like, I need to learn all of these patterns, and I need to learn, you know, all of these order types, and I need to learn options flow and all this stuff that doesn't really matter. You need contextual understanding of what's going on. That's what truly matters in this stuff. You can put all sorts of different techniques and apply it to whatever, and as long as you have, or it's a necessity to have proper context if you want your odds to be increased on whatever you're doing. Pretty big 1-minute pullback. Didn't quite get to the 15-minute 12 EMA. Rejection from resistance. And we'll see if bulls can keep a 5-minute uptrend. We're technically not in one now, but bulls will want to see another 5-minute higher low and higher high. So let's see. Let's wrap this up talking about the follow-up on Bitcoin. So we got bulls trying to get an hourly bounce underway, ultimately. Anything below 67,000 could be an hourly lower high. Got to regain an hourly uptrend. If we want a 12-hour higher low to shape up, got to confirm 12-hour inverse head and shoulders with a bull break of 68,240 and 68,956 to increase the odds that a weekly higher low is shaping up from here. If we see increasing 12-hour bear volume on a pullback from here, then we have to be cautious that the less likely scenario could happen. of going to lower lows, but after the size of this bounce, bears would have to seriously bring the volume if that was. OBS disconnected. I think I'm back. Hopefully I'm back. All right. So if weekly 12 EMA holds, consolidation's healthy. And yeah, that's pretty much that. That's pretty much that. We will see y'all next time. Hit the like button if you haven't. Yeah, OG Itchy. I don't know what that was about. I've never had that one happen. I didn't have like drop frames. It was just a full-on disconnect. But hit the like button if you haven't. Hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your week. We got the weekend coming up. There's no trading in the US next Friday. We'll talk about that as it gets closer. And I think that's all that's on the docket. Hope you all take care, and we'll see you next time.